Welcome back to another episode of the Twistedtubz podcast. I am your host, Stephen Tubley, aka Twistedtubz. He is Paddy Murphy, aka Paddy Plays. He came back to survive again together.
I did.
Welcome back, Paddy.
I've still got the mug.
Still has the mug. He's repping that merch, that man.
These are actually not available for sale.
But can I have one?
Yeah, well, you can, because you're only down the road. No bother. I can drop it into you. I just don't want to be shipping it, man, because I've had stuff delivered to me. Yeah,
Those aren't ideal for the out delivery, like
cushiony things.
No, but look, come here. Thank you so much for coming back on again. I felt we had a great
pleasure.
chat the first time.
Absolutely, it was cool. I really enjoyed it. It's nice to be on this side of the interview.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I can help you switch some gears here because you were normally the one interviewing the other person. So it's nice to have you kind of sitting in the hot seat and being asked all the questions. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm going off of the first interview. I felt we covered a lot, but I don't think we covered everything. And there's still a few things that we can kind of deeper dive into. So the first question I have for you tonight is just basically, you spoke a lot about the gaming side of things briefly the last. So. And because I know you a long time and I know that gaming is a massive part of the DNA of Paddy Murphy.
Hell yeah. I actually have binary as blood. It's not actually blood. If you cut me, like zeros and ones come out.
Just flies out. It's like coding.
It's like the Matrix or some shit.
So, I mean, I think the major question is just your love of gaming in general, and just like what kind of games you're kind of in this, like in the 2021 bubble we're in now, what games are you really sitting on and just loving, and just games in general, dude, because you're a massive gamer. I'm a very big gamer myself, so I reckon this is gonna be a conversation we can banter back and forth about.
Hell yeah, let's do an origin story here as well. I remember when I was 3 years old, right? When I was 3 years old, my brother he did really well in like exams at school. He's 9 years older than me, so I was 3. He would have been 11. Is that right? No, he would have been 12. I don't know. My brain. Yeah, I'm not good at maths.
He was
he's a lot older than me. He did well in school, and my parents got him an Atari 2600, and he was into sports and all that kind of stuff. He was not a gamer. He's never been a gamer guy. He literally looked at the Atari. I think he played it once and then just left it. He was just like, well, fuck this, and left it under the thing. I kind of crawled over a tree and picked up that joystick with the one red button. And just like, I started playing, I think it was Centipede was one of the first games I had in this. But really, there was a game called River Raid where you were a boat going up a river and you shot like stuff coming towards you, kind of like loads of those scrolling shooters of that time. Yeah. And I was obsessed with River Raid. I'd sit there for hours just playing that game. And then my mother decided, oh, he's into this stuff. So I think like a year later, or maybe a year or two later, she bought me a Sega Master System, which had, I think, Alex Kidd built into it. And she got me Sonic 1. Yeah. And that was, man, I tried playing that game again recently because it was in some collection or some shit. That game was so fucking hard. I don't know how I beat that when I was 4 or 5. My kids can't even beat fucking like easy games now.
To be fair, man, it's sometimes when you think about things, and this goes back to the retro wrestle chat show that me and Brian do, right?
Yeah.
When you remember a match from back in the day so fondly, and you watch it like with the older eyes of an adult, and you're going, huh, I remember this being,
I thought this was better.
That's what it was for Alex Kidd with me. I remember this game being so fucking good with the big glove punching the and just the soundtrack and everything. And then when I remember I went back and played it again recently, and I was going, huh, I don't like this as much now.
It did teach me how to play rock, paper, scissors, which I thought was called janking because that's what it's called in Alex Kidd. And so whenever people would be like, let's play rock, paper, scissors, I was like, this is janking. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, this is janking. Because in Alex Kidd, you get these bosses that you have to like pick between rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah.
And it's like, jankin, punch. And like, so I would be like playing rock, paper, scissors with people when I was like 7. Jank, fucking punch. And they're like, what are you fucking doing, you numpty? But like, I got obsessed with Ice Kids. Sonic was my gateway drug. Like the first Sonic game on the Master System, I was just like, the soundtrack, the character, the speed. My best friend had a NES, and I'd go to his house and play Mario. And I loved Mario. I was like, oh, this is so cool. But I was like, but Sonic's fast and he's cool. He's got spiky hair, which I thought, what? He's a hedgehog. They're spikes. It's not hair. But yeah, like I just loved Sonic. And so then I was kind of a Sega guy at the start. I like had a Sega Master System, then a Sega Mega Drive. And then I got Street Fighter 2. You'll appreciate this. I got Street Fighter 2 for my Sega Mega Drive. And I got so angry at it because I only had the 3 buttons. And I was like, how the fuck am I supposed to play? I played it in the arcade, so I knew what it was supposed to play like. That you're supposed to have a high punch, a mid punch, whatever. Like, I was like, this is ridiculous. This is the dumbest thing ever. Why even put it on this console when you have 3 fucking buttons?
Yeah.
So I ended up being like, I want a SNES. The controller has more buttons.
But I have a reverse story to that one. Because I didn't go Sega first. My first, obviously then we had the Nintendo and things like that, but the first, like you go back then, the next gen console came out, was like the Super Nintendo and the Mega Drive.
The SNES, yeah.
I had the SNES and I loved the SNES. But then when we got Mortal Kombat for the SNES, I was like, oh my God, I've heard so much about this game. But if you remember correctly, when Mortal Kombat came out on the SNES, there was no blood.
Oh shit, they cut the blood. Yeah, because you see, I would have played it on Mega Drive first. Exactly. So I had all the blood.
I was like, I heard this was like mega violent and things like that. And the whole lot. And then my brother Mike's.
Did you not go in and play it in the Victoria Club? No.
No, that came later. That came way later. But my brother Mike's friend Christy, he had the Mega Drive. And I remember every now and again we'd trade the consoles.
A swap. Yeah.
So we traded and he had Mortal Kombat on the Mega Drive. And I remember it was like, oh, fucking. Yeah, should we play this? We already have it on the NES, but we play it here. And then there was blood and stuff. And I was like, we got fucking shafted. we got so badly shafted on our version. Like, I was so gutted. Like, but yeah, the SNES was my jam, man, growing up.
Oh well, like, look, that's where I was going though. When I made the shift over, like, 2 of my favorite. Now, Sonic 3 Knuckles on the Mega Drive is one of my favorite platformers of all time. That's the one where you slotted the Sonic 3 cart into the Knuckles cart because I loved it. But like 2 of my all-time favorite games I played on the SNES, and they would inform a lot of my tastes in games moving forwards. And that was Super Mario World, which I was like, this is the perfect game. There's like nothing wrong with this game. It's actually perfect. I know that a lot of people, their entry Mario is the one they love the most, and that'll be like Mario 1 or Mario 3. Like, usually, but for me, it was World. That was the one that got me obsessed with Mario. And then Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past. I played that, and that was the first one. I think that was maybe the first game, because I don't think the Sega really had many. That was one of the first games that I was like, oh shit, video games can tell really cool, compelling stories. Like, maybe Comic Zone on the Mega Drive had a degree of that, but I think that came way later, actually. I think Link to the Past came way before. And I mean, like, Zelda lives on my skin, like, so, and Mario does. And Mario does. So, I mean, I don't have any Sega characters living on my skin, but I have like Nintendo stuff. I do, and I love Sega, and I've always been like a staunch Sega defender. Even when the Dreamcast came out, I was like, I love the Dreamcast. I was trying to get people to buy it and stuff. But this kind of goes to the where I'm going as well, though, is like, I've never been a console wars guy because I'm too fucking greedy and I like everything. I'm just too positive about everything that I never want to be like excluding myself from like missing out on, like, even with PC. I remember when I was younger, my friend had a PC and I'd go to his house and play Civilization 2 and I was like, this is fucking amazing. I just always wanted everything, a Game Boy, every fucking console you could get your hands on.
Funny that you say that about the PC, because obviously when I was growing up, I was a console head. Now, and
yeah,
you've heard me talk about my mate Phil before, Philip Connor.
Yeah,
you've probably seen him on the Wrestle Chat comments. Boogie Bop,
yeah,
Boogie Bop. That's Phil. So when he was growing up, he had a PC, like, and he's even to this day, he's very much a first person
PC gamer.
I never was. I just never was. I was always, I have to see the dude on the screen and I have to interact and just tunnel vision my way into it. But he tried to convince me to play Doom on the PC one day, and I was like, "I'll make you a deal, all right? Get the infinite ammo cheat, all right? And you control the guy with the keys, and I will just shoot the shit out of everything." And that is how we ended up playing Doom on his PC.
That is fucking amazing.
Could never. Like, I mean, I know, like, I've a gaming PC and stuff now, and I have a controller and things, and I can't play it, but I don't know what it is in my brain. It's like you know yourself, we live in a day and age where you can get ROMs and things, and, you know, everywhere of retro games. But even when the SNES Mini came out, I was like, I want that.
We had a great discussion about this in our private group at one point. Sure, myself and you and Brian and Barry, we had a great discussion about this because, like, I got into ROMs and emulation back in like 98. Me and my friend Niall, he had an internet connection. I didn't at that time, but I would be able to go over to his house and it would take us like 4 days to download like a SNES ROM, but then we'd like play it. Yeah. And like, I got into emulation and I was fascinated by it. I was like, this is so cool. We can like play these games that we would never, it wasn't for the games that like just came out. It was like some weird Japanese version of a Castlevania that we never played. Yeah. And I was like, this is fucking awesome. I would never be able to play this game if we didn't have this. And like save states, the only reason we ever beat Super Castlevania 4 was because we were able to fucking save state our way through the last boss. But like, I grew up kind of then with ROMs as kind of part of I kind of, it's like even with my streaming, when I'm playing retro stuff, I use ROMs because I can make them look nicer. I can play them with a modern controller. But the funny thing is, I've had people actually come on chat and stream and say like, oh, I hope you own that game. And I'm literally 9 times out of 10 able to reach up onto that fucking shelf there and pick the game down. I'm able to be like, do I own Metal Gear Solid? Yeah, I fucking do. Sorry, do I own Final Fantasy Origins? Yeah, I fucking do. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not stealing these games. And even if, there's a whole different discussion here about like you're stealing a 24-year-old game that nobody else will, like nobody who was originally involved in making it will ever see a penny of it. You buy it off of some shady reseller on eBay. Like, should you even at that point? But I love being able
in that defense.
Exactly. But I love being able to slap those people down when they come into my thing and they're like, oh, Legend of Dragoon, this is a really rare game. I hope you don't mind that you're stealing it. And I'm like, fuck you.
Funny that you showed the PS and the PS1 games because I was, as you know, I'm as bad as you for collecting stuff.
Yeah.
Some call me a hoarder, others call me a collector. Whatever way you want to look at it, I collect a lot of crap. But I was going through a drawer the other day and I pulled out Grand Theft Auto 1 and WWF Attitude in the PlayStation 1 boxes.
I have both of them here somewhere as well. I have both of those here.
So now I'm currently on the lookout to find
for PS1,
PlayStation 1. So I can.
I've seen a few on Marketplace. I'll link you.
Yeah, do.
But yeah, like actually, this is a great segue though because the SNES Mega Drive era passed by.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was around 14-ish when the PlayStation 1, 13 or 14 when the PlayStation 1 was coming out. And I didn't really pay attention because I was such a Nintendo Sega head. I wasn't too pushed. And then I went to a guy I knew, Ian O'Brien. I went to his house and he had a PlayStation 1. This is about 97, like. And he had Resident Evil, the first Resident Evil. And I played it. And this goes to why my channel is called Let's Survive. Paddy Plays. I love survival horror. That and JRPGs are my number one love. I went to his house, played Resident Evil. The dogs jumped through the fucking window. I threw his controller across the room, like, and I freaked out and I was like, this is the best shit ever. Like, because I loved horror movies growing up anyway. So the fact that a game had scared me as much, if not more, than any horror movie ever had, I was like, I literally went home to my mom and I was like, Mom, I need a PlayStation. She was like, they're £400, fuck off. I was like, I need one. So I got a job, which nowadays, guys, you can't get jobs at 14 anymore. That's called child labor. But back in 97, I went and I got a job in a bar collecting glasses, which in Ireland, collecting glasses means, yeah, you're collecting glasses, but you're actually running the bar while all the owners go off and get drunk. And you're a 14-year-old kid running a bar. But I did that to save up and buy my... I did that to save up and go and buy myself a PS1, and that was from that moment on. I've bought every console myself, like, or I've gotten it as a gift from my wife or something. But like, I've generally always tried to buy a console, especially PlayStations. I've only missed one launch, which is PS3. That was the only launch I missed, and the PS5. That was a bizarre story, which I'll get to at some point. How that.
No, go on.
No, I just we can talk about that in a while because we're coming up through the gens. I like it. I like this format.
That you mentioned the PS5. Like, I mean, I was going to like go down that rabbit hole like everyone else when it was being announced and kind of released, and I'm still sitting here in February kind of going like I have the money sitting there for it. I get to it because there doesn't seem to be any like stability on being able to get it still. And it's February.
Oh yeah, it's all over the fucking place with the availabilities.
March or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you look at it that way, but it's a crazy thing. You know what I mean? And normally I'd be like you, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. PlayStation 4 was a different one. I was like a year out before I even got it.
Yeah, that was me with the PS3. I think 6 months, I think, with the PS3. And I had to buy it on finance because they were so expensive, the PS3.
Yeah, it was insane. Like, it was, I mean,
it was like €600.
Did you get the first brand PS3?
The fat.
Yeah, the big, huge, chunky one that you could play.
Yeah. I still have it.
Oh, man, I have it upstairs, but it's not working. So
I can fix it for you. Drop it out to me.
If you
had to fix so many of them.
Because if you could do that,
you could play your PS1 games.
I wouldn't even need to find a PS1. Because the funny story was, I had that, and then when I got the newer version of it, like when they started releasing the newer versions of it, I gave it to Bex, and yeah, Bex had it for, I think, and it lasted between me and Bex. I think it lasted over a decade.
Yeah,
it was insane. So Bex had it for ages as well, and then it eventually just kicked the bucket, like
gave up the ghost. I fixed so many yellow lighted death PlayStations, man. It's a surprisingly easy fix if you know what you're doing, but like because it was such a common problem, I guess. But yeah, like I'm gonna quickly tell my PS5 story since you're talking about PS5. I was like, I'm getting one of these day one. I do not give a fuck. I will wait up. I will be on. And so, right, there's a tragic part, which is the night that they showed the last reveal of the PS5, and they literally went, it's live for pre-order right now. And I was like, went to the Smiths website, had it in my shopping cart, and then went, I don't have 500 quid. I'm fucking do this now. So I ended up not going through with the sale. And then I was messaging to Brian O'Regan and you guys in the chat the next morning. I was like, lads, it's sold out now and stuff. And Brian was like, oh, you don't pay in Smiths until the day. And I was like, no, freaked out. I tried it every other time that they released like pre-orders, and every time me and Barry both got rejected, like we just didn't get them. So the day of release, on the night of release, I stayed up all night, literally all night. And I was just hitting the refresh page over and over again on Argos, Harvey Norman, everywhere. And I didn't get one. And I went to bed. I was like at 3:00 in the afternoon, I was like, I'm going to fucking bed. I'm so angry. I didn't get a PS5. My heart is broken. And I went to bed, and then a person who wants to remain anonymous, but you know them. So I'll tell you off stream, came to me and said, I got a message when I woke up at 6:00 that day on the 19th of November, PlayStation release day, that said, hey man, I have a PlayStation 5 that I'm probably not going to be able to play until the new year. If you want it, I'll give it to you at cost. Like I won't gouge you. I won't fucking charge you in crazy markup. And I was like, why are you doing this? Why are you being so nice? This kind of niceness doesn't exist in the world anymore. And he was like, you did a charity stream in August for Alzheimer's, and someone really close to me went through, and he was like, you didn't have to do that charity, but you did it. And so I want to do something nice for you. And I was like, man, karma is fucking awesome, because I didn't do that charity stream to get anything out of it. I just did it because I wanted to help for my nan and stuff, like remembering my nan.
There was a personal connection you had for and a reason behind why you did it to begin with.
Exactly. And so when I actually ended up getting that out of it, it was like, it wasn't predestined that I would get a PS5 out of doing something nice. But then when it happened, it was like, man, that really does feel like karma. It really does feel like you did something good. And now the universe is like, here you go. And then I paid it forward because I had an Xbox Series S and my nephew wanted one for Christmas and they were sold out everywhere. So I went to my sister and said, look, he can have my Series S. And then I rebought a Series S like 2 weeks ago.
Nice. And the funny thing about it is, Pat, I was, and as you said, going back to the console wars, I was never in the console wars. I just, I always had a Nintendo or I always had a PlayStation.
Yeah.
But, and I did miss out on some great games on the Xbox and things because I think I had originally, and Grace ended up getting one for Christmas.
Yeah.
A few years ago. And I ended up playing a few games in it, but I still, believe it or not, still have Gears of War 1 to 3 upstairs. And I can't
wait for you to play those. I cannot wait.
I'm
jealous. I always say this. This is something that comes up on a lot of stuff that I do, but like I'm jealous when somebody's about to go through like those kind of experiences for the first time because I wish I had the fucking Men in Black nebulizer thing. Not nebulizer, that's the thing you use for reading. The yoke for flash in your memory so that I could go back and play Gears of War 1 to 3. I could play Final Fantasy 7 again for the first time. Red Dead. I wish I could play Red Dead 1 and 2 again for the first time. Because those are special experiences. You only get to experience them once.
Yeah. No, I agree. There are some games. It's like The Last of Us 1 when I first got that.
Yeah.
Like I would give anything to just go back and be able to play that first game with blind eyes. Just never.
I feel the same about the second. I feel the same
like one as well. Because I believe me and you are very much in the camp of guys that really and truly loved both those games. You and Brian O'Regan had a good, long, hearty discussion about it, even at the time of, and then me and Brooker, a mate of mine from the UK, did a 6-hour podcast about our feelings on The Last of Us 2. 2 hours an episode, 3 episodes. That's how much we had to unpack, and we still didn't even get through all our feelings on it. I mean, and it is that. I mean, like, because as I said, we've all got like retro games that we love.
Yeah.
But we've
nostalgia, like
brand new games that are out now that we're like so attached to. And I've mentioned you, I think 2 times I've mentioned this on this podcast so far about gaming. When you listen to the rest of them, you will hear me say, when Paddy Murphy starts a game, he is a completionist and has got to shoot for the moon to get that platinum or get to the 100% level. Am I right?
It depends on the game. It depends on how much you love the game.
You like.
Well,
the ones you like.
If I love a game, so the good examples here is like since I got the PS5, nearly everything I've played on it so far has been something that I've loved so much that I want to do everything in it. Because I got like Astro's Playroom, I platinumed Bugsnax, which I did not think I was going to love as much as I did. I ended up loving Bugsnax and platinumed that. Then Spider-Man Remastered, I ended up loving that so much more the second time around on PS5 than I did on PS4, man. I ended up, because without the loading times, it just made such a fucking massive difference to my enjoyment of it. Yeah. And then Miles Morales, I platinumed as well. But I just, generally, there's like 12 platinums that I have because it's like Days Gone, God of War, fucking like, it has to be something that I like, get tunnel vision about, like, and I'm like, I can't think about anything else till this game is 100% done. But yeah, I do. There are definitely games that I do that with, but it used to be few and far between, but it's getting more and more, man. Fucking hell.
And it's brilliant that you actually mentioned a game in that list before I segued into what I was getting to, because you know me a long time. I'm a big gamer, a lot of games like you, like Brian. But if you go through, like, I've never been like the guy to like shoot for 100%. I love the story. I'm a story-based gamer. Yeah. I love playing games. I just enjoy it. But Days Gone is a game that I could not, as you said, I could not get out of the tunnel until I got the platinum on that game.
Days Gone
I got very recently.
Days Gone is the most underrated game on the PS4. Like, I can't think of one game that's like more deserving of more attention. Oh, sorry.
No. I'm doing this because I think I have to try to not step over what you're saying.
So no, you're good. You're good. No, you're good. I'm good now. As long as I get to say that Days Gone is the most underrated game on PS4, I'm happy.
I 100% agree with you, because I know a lot of people that slept on that game so hard,
or shat on it without even playing it.
No, but look, I don't think you can be blamed for that, because it was the masses of when it came out. It was, and I think it was when it first came out, because it needed a lot of patch and a lot of bug fixes to go. But by the time it got completely patched out, it's a solid game. Now, in saying that, when it was fully patched out, I was playing the game, and I think I was 2 trophies off getting the platinum, and I broke the game. When I say I broke the game, I drove the motorbike up a hill, and the motorbike got stuck in the hill, and then the rest of the land parted from the ground. I was going, I've broken the game. I have to restart this and lose my save now because I can't. But that didn't even take away from the story, the atmosphere of the game, just the complete and utter. And like, I mean, I was just enthralled in this game, Paddy. I mean, I just dove into this game, and I could not pull myself away from it.
I felt that big time with Days Gone. I remember I played Days Gone right after we finished shooting a couple of months after. I was in pre-production or post-production on The Perished. Yeah. And then I just started playing Days Gone, and any free time I would have, I would just sit down and play it. But another game, like, of the PlayStation 4 generation, was when I played God of War. I am a gigantic fan of the God of War franchise. Like, I loved the first one. I loved the second. The third was one of my favorite games ever. I even like most of the shitty spin-offs, and I say that they're shitty spin-offs, so people might not like that, but most of them are. But I still love them because I just love the character and the worlds. And I remember being super resistant at the idea of this reboot almost. I was like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, what is this? And that is a game where I legit, my wife and kids were like, you need to live your life again. And I was like, I can't until I've done absolutely everything there is to do in this game, because I can't go on.
I can't move forward until these Valkyries have been slain.
I had to drink whiskey and listen to Viking metal to be able to beat the last Valkyrie, man, to be able to get her for the platinum. That was my last trophy for platinum. And I had to I drank whiskey and listened to Viking metal, and I did it.
and I go back to what you were saying about God of War, because I have been the biggest God of War fan ever, man. I mean, I'm the guy that loved Ascension when a lot of people hated it.
Exactly. That's what I meant. Yeah, the shitty ones.
At the PSP versions that people were kind of going, fuck, this is crap. I was like,
Ghost of Sparta is fucking awesome.
I have an 18-inch Kratos upstairs as well from God of War 2 that Philip O'Connor bought me for my birthday one year. I still have it. It's up there on the shelf and everything else. But I was the same as you when God of War was coming out. I was like, oh man, I hope they just don't erase what was before and all this.
Yeah.
I was really kind of, but then when I played it, I was kind of going, this is fucking amazing.
This is how everything should be rebooted. This is how you do a reboot right here, a soft reboot or whatever the fuck you call it, where it's like it still takes place within the world of the previous thing, but it's not like somebody can come into that God of War who has never played the other ones and still think it's a fucking amazing game. But if you have played the other ones, you get that moment of like the goose pimples and the hair standing on your neck when you realize little things. You're like,
not to throw spoilers in there, but there is a big moment in the game that throws back to the original games.
Oh yeah.
Which I did mark out for, and marking out is a wrestling term, but it is so for this. Indeed, I loved it. But Spider-Man as well. Going back to what we were saying about Spider-Man. Spider-Man on the PS5, I know they made some changes. What was it like to fully immerse yourself into Spider-Man again? Not Miles Morales now, but the first one. With Mikey Casey's head on Peter Parker.
Look, I'm not going to lie, right? When I saw the first pictures of that fucking new Peter Parker, I was like, why are they doing this? What's wrong with them? What's weird is I've been watching a friend of mine, Abam, he's a streamer, and he's playing Spider-Man on the PS4, and I've been watching him play it, and now I'm so used to the new heads that when I see the old one, I'm like, oh, that's wrong. That doesn't look right. It's weird because like I was so against the new Peter Parker face when I saw it, but now I can't unsee it. I can't having played 100+ hours of the remaster, I now can't imagine it any other way. But he does look like a gourmet.
But I mean, obviously, because I don't have the PS5 yet, but I have heard from like my friend Phil and Brian and yourself, about like the loading times and the graphics.
What loading times?
Exactly, they're non-existent now. But for the older PlayStation 4 games, when you play them on PS5, is there genuinely a massive upgrade in graphics and things?
Well, like the thing is, when you look at something like God of War, right, or Last of Us 2, they've been patched to be used on the PlayStation 5 so that like they have 60 frames a second, full 4K resolution, whereas they were, it was a fake 4K resolution on PS4 Pro. It was like actually 2K, even though it said it was 4K. They're full 4K in 60 frames a second. They've got the controller is what it's all about, like, and the adaptive triggers, like playing The Last of Us 2 and actually being able to feel the bowstring tense up like on the trigger is so like amazing. And same in God of War, like the feeling of like it makes you feel like you're for me, the new adaptive triggers are as big a jump as when I first played the PlayStation 1 DualShock and was like, oh, it's vibrating in my hands.
Really?
That's how big of a jump. The controller is the most next-gen thing, in my opinion, about the PS5. Because those adaptive triggers, once you play Astro's Playroom on the PS5, you go, oh my fucking God, this is actually crazy.
And is that like a free game? Like, is that the one that comes free with it? Or okay. But
and
it's robots for PS4.
Yeah, and it has no right being as good as it is. It should be a throwaway fucking like, oh, this comes free with the yoke, it's a bit shit. It goes through 20+ years of PlayStation history and shows you all your favorite characters and franchises, and you're like, all the nostalgia comes flooding back because you see like Spyro and fucking Shadow of the Colossus and Heavy Rain, and you're like, like the feelings, the emotions, like of all these things that I've experienced. It should not be that good. It should be a shitty free game.
Yeah, I mean, because to be fair, I mean, and this isn't even just like the PS4, but the PS4 was, give or take, what, a decade?
Yeah, like it was, I think it was longer than your average console. Yeah, because it went from like 2013 up to, it's still going strong now in 2021. Yeah. So it's over the decade mark. So the amount of, the amount of games that we would have consumed within that decade, and that's not even PlayStation 3, Xbox, PlayStation 2, and all the way back. But we're two guys in our 30s, man, and you look at the amount of like amazing retro and current games that we've consumed into our brains, man, over the years. And there's one game that, like, I love Mario World and I love like Mario Kart and Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat. There's one game that always just pops into my brain. It's not one that, like, I don't even know if people know it. It's not one of my favorite games. It's just every time I hear about the Super Nintendo, The Lost Vikings. Oh, well, back when I was a game developer, I made a game on the PSP and PS Vita called Revolt and Youth. And in Revolt and Youth, there were 3 characters that you could switch between them, and each of them had a unique ability that you needed all 3 of them to solve puzzles and get through the level. That game was my homage to The Lost Vikings, which was like one of my favorite fucking games growing up. I played it to death. Like, I did not like The Lost Vikings 2. I'm not going to lie. I did not like the art style. I didn't like the puzzles. But Lost Vikings 1, I think, is one of the best games on that generation.
I slept on the second one. Like,
lucky you.
I had no interest. I genuinely didn't. No, but it's great that the reason I did bring it up, because I do remember a conversation that we did have ages back about one of the games for the PSP that was similar. So I'm so glad you told the story of the connection.
All the games we made 3 games for PSP and Vita, and each of them had a tie back to a game that we loved as kids. So like the first game we made, Mad Blocker Alpha, was very much based. Everyone said it was a Tetris clone, but they didn't get the connection right because it was a Columns clone. Did you ever play Columns on the Sega Mega Drive? Yeah, because in columns you couldn't turn. See, in Tetris you can turn the orientation of the block. In columns you could just shift the layout of the block. So Mad Blocker was a knockoff of columns, not Tetris.
Yeah.
And then our second game, Ninjamurai, we literally went, what would it be like if you took Sonic and Shinobi and kind of mashed them together? So you had a super fast kind of samurai ninja game thing. Because Shinobi was awesome, but it was never like, it was one of those games where you'd like pause before going on to the next screen because you'd be like, shit, something's going to come at me. And yeah, so like all three of the games we made had this connection to like the games that we loved growing up, because I think that's how you have to make stuff. It's what we do when we make movies, is you take the things that you love and try to share them with everyone else.
And I think that's another thing, because obviously, like in our last episode, we talked like in great detail about like, your love for gaming and the films and stuff that we've done and things like that. Excuse me. But I think that's one thing like not everyone knows, is that you've actually created games as well. You know what I mean? You have actually
it feels like a lifetime ago now, man. I tell you, when I played some of them on an emulator again recently, because like I wasn't fucking, I wanted to stream them possibly, and I was like, I'm not fucking trying to hook my PSP up to my, I don't even know how I'd even get started hooking my PSP up to my PC. But I was playing them again, and I was like, I wrote the music in those games, and I was listening to it going, who wrote this music? It's really good. This could not have been me. I could not have wrote this music.
That ties back into you making music.
Yeah, exactly.
It's all tied into the creative beast that kind of fuels, you. So,
and then the imposter syndrome is still there as well, because it's like, I couldn't do that. And it's like, well, you did. I know you don't think you could, but you did it.
No. And I'm going to talk about another game, because I know, even though this one was like a crazy experience for you, you created an entire game on your own.
Oh shit! Yeah,
game, by the way, just to throw it out there.
Yeah, he was. It's on the Play Store. I think you can still get it.
And I recently downloaded and played it, and I have to
it's a game.
It is very, very weird. When you spend 2.5 hours flirting with yourself on the screen.
So I made a mobile game for a company in the UK based on one of my favorite indie films called Egomaniac, which was a movie by Kate Shenton about this lady trying to be a filmmaker and kind of getting everything thrown against her. And so I was asked to kind of I made like a visual novel style game where it's like choice based and you have to make decisions and those decisions affect the outcome. And I had no programming experience going into that project, like, well, a tiny amount. And I had 6 months to develop the whole game, start to finish. I had to have a demo ready in 2 months. That was the most stressful 6 months of my life, hands down. Nothing compares or comes close.
I know it was a very, very, very stressful situation, obviously, because I'm your friend, and I know what I don't know what the process, because I wasn't involved in the process of it, but I know it was a very stressful kind of time frame for you. But I will say one thing: I'm in a video game now. So thank you, Paddy Murphy.
I love that you and Brian O'Regan and Bex and Barry and Courtney and all my mates got to be in this fucking video game, which again, like, how often does that really ever happen? You know what I mean?
And it's one of those things where, like, it's cool when you've got like a really, really big job and you have a mortgage. But like, what's better? Like, oh, I have a house. I am in a video game. That's way better.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm a character.
Game development is something I'm still interested in. It's just I couldn't do it all on my own again. I know that much.
Yeah.
So I actually ended up reconnecting in 2020 as well with one of the guys that I used to work with at Open Emotion. A friend of mine from Dublin, Ona Donovan. He was always like one of my best mates at Open Emotion, and he's stayed in game development all the way along. And I reached out with an idea. I said, look, I have this idea for a little fun game, a horror game called Into the Basement. And he was like, cool. I sent him a design brief, and he was like, fuck it, I'll talk to one or two lads and see if they're up for doing it. And we're very slow. We haven't set ourselves lines. We haven't set ourselves, we have to have this much done, or we have to have a demo, or we're just slowly, whenever anybody has a free a chance, just like talking about it, figuring out game design stuff, and we're just tipping away at it in the background. And like, I'm excited about that because it would be nice to get another game under the belt and be like, especially horror. I never got to do a horror game, so and since that's one of my favorite genres, it would be a lot of fun to do.
I mean, that's got to be an exclusive right there, right?
I think I mentioned it on stream, but streams don't last. They get deleted after 30 days. So this is the first, like, I think, official statement of it.
I'm so happy.
Into the basement, coming whenever we're ready. Unlike Cyberpunk, which said that and then released early.
So, like, I mean, like, as I said, we're looking here, we're near the end of this episode again. And we just went
if we're near the end,
40 minutes, dude.
If we're near the end, I have to do this, Tubz,
One.
because I know this game means a lot to you. So,
I can already see the box, and I know it. Oh man! Like, you would know. I know how much this game means to you. It's been looking at me from the shelf the whole way through this chat, and I was like, I have to show Tubz. I remember when it came out on PS2, dude, and The Godfather came out on PS2, and you know this, right? Anyone that doesn't know me, I have this weird, like, I'm not gangster, man, in any way, shape, or form. But
he's actually a Crip. I swear to God, he's a proper Crip. Like,
yeah, I hide it, but I have this mad thing about gangster stuff, man, gangster games and movies. I just love it. I think it's so cool. I've always been that way. I think it was because my brother, me and my brother John, kind of connected with that stuff because he was big into it as well, and a couple of, like, the friends over the years and stuff. And it was that game, crazy enough, holds another connection to me because my friend John, as you know, Scarface is one of his favorite films. So the game and the movie is connection. But I was so gutted when they never. I know it's a rights issue and whatever else, but I was so gutted when, like, Godfather and a few other games got, like, transported over to, like, PS3, and Scarface never did. Now, luckily,
it never got remastered.
I have gotten a copy of it since.
That's all that matters.
I have gotten it. So when you showed me that, I was like so happy because I have managed to get a copy back into my possession, and I have a PS2 working at the moment. So yeah, there's definitely going to be a playthrough on that soon. Definitely.
What's it? And the other quick thing I want to show you is, like, this is so, like, when I started doing Let's Survive interviews on my channel, the first guest I had on was a guy named Steve J. Palmer from Red Dead. And a lot of people, I don't think they were trying to be mean when they were saying at the start, people were like, how are you getting these people on? How, like, and what I explained at the time was, like, so this ties into what I'm holding in my hand, right? So 10 years ago, I won a competition on a gaming website, which was for Red Dead swag. So I won this signed pack of cards, Red Dead cards, signed by Steve J. Palmer, and a few other bits of merch. And I messaged Steve J. Palmer on, like, Twitter or something at the time, and I said, like, thank you so much for sending me this for the signed stuff. Really appreciate it. And he was, like, so grateful that, like, I reached out, that I didn't just, like, get the stuff and be like, cool. Like, he was like, oh, thank you for reaching out to me. So then when I started working for Player Attack, which was a review site in Australia, I was writing for, I got him on for an interview, and he was, again, super grateful. And so we kept chatting and being friends over, like, the decade since Red Dead came out. So then when I said I was starting a YouTube thing, he was like, well, if I can help, and if you want me to come on and do an interview, and then if you want me to help hook you up with other Red Dead cast members or, you know, friends I know. And that's really how that started. And my whole meandering point here is, like, this is why, going back to what I said in my first episode that I was on, this is why making connections is super, like, not in I'm going to make a connection to get something out of your way. Making connections with people, again, it's that same as the PS5 story. It can be a karmic reward that you didn't expect. Like, making friends with Steve J. Palmer led to amazing things 10 years after the fact because we just stayed good friends, you know?
Look, I totally agree because, I mean, I agree about the connection thing because I've gotten some amazing guests on this show so far due to my connection with yourself and the Badgers. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it does work that way, you know what I mean? And you do build it up and stuff. But I mean, yeah, you're Steve Palmer, it's Steve, isn't it? It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he seems like a really nice dude when you were talking to him and stuff. But I mean, like, I think that's just fantastic, dude. You know what I mean? And I do remember, as you were saying, as you do realize that, like, you know, these people that are in video games and films and things like that, they're real people too.
They're the exact same as us, man. Yeah, exactly. They have all the same insecurities and faults and shit that we do.
Because I remember, and this harps back to, and it's completely outside of gaming territory, it's just a random story I want to tell, is when we were in London for Fright Fest for the Perished, and we were standing outside the Prince Charles Theatre, and
yes,
I was standing outside with you, and Pollyanna McIntosh was standing at the doorway, and I seen her, and I marked out, like, I had a spaz moment of like, Paddy!
He fangirled out. He fangirled out big time.
And you were like, go over and talk to her. And I was like, I can't do that. That's Jadis from The Walking Dead. He was like, and I remember you said it to me, she's a person like you. You're here in a movie like she's in a movie.
Yeah.
As a movie, you know? And I was going to just go and talk to her. And I was like, let's do it. And I was so happy I did, because it was just, and it created a savage moment for me, you know, like one that I will remember. But yeah, and I think the connections to gaming and stuff, as you said, and your love for it, your passion for it, really.
Yeah, exactly. We all share the same passions, like, yeah. And so if we can enjoy them and make these connections through them, that's exactly what it's all about, like.
And you know something? We just talked about gaming for 46 minutes, and I'm very happy about that, my friend.
Me too. I could talk about gaming forever, so I'm happy.
No, I'm genuinely happy, man. That's a fucking, a really fucking, and there's a lot of stuff, as I said, I got an exclusive. I got to know a little bit more, and you know, we had a good chat about games. But
I love games.
I would be silly if I didn't ask. Since we've had two great chats, would you be up for coming back on again for another one?
Nah, that's it now.
All right, so I'm done.
Tubbs, you don't even have to ask, but I appreciate that you do. Consent is key, so I appreciate that you do. But look, you know, I'm always down to come back and chat, because regardless of the subject, it'll be something that we both fucking love. I know that much, and so we'll waffle on and have no trouble filling the air.
It's hardcore chin.
Is it hard? Is it hard though? To, like, if when I'm waffling, is it hard for you to sit there and not jump in?
No, I'll be completely honest with you. One thing I'm trying to learn when I'm doing this, because I am relatively new to the podcasting, is.
But he's been talking professionally for like 468 years. I don't know, what age are you again?
Let's not get into that. You don't ask a lady her age.
I just meant you're a vampire. That's all. You're a sexy, sexy vampire.
Look at this complexion. It's awesome. But yeah. So I mean, as I said, I'm not doing a design, but my biggest thing I'm trying to work on when I'm doing it is like waiting for the other person to kind of like give me a window where they stop, so I can kind of been and kind of like segue and things like that. As I said,
you're doing a really good job of it.
Thank you. But I do realize that once or twice I might have stepped over. But look, as I said, it's all a work in progress. And
you're doing great, Tubbs. Head pats for Tubbs. Man. Head pats for Tubbs.
I'm like an ADHD monkey. I'm just like, oh, look at me. Oh, I can't leave my head alone. But yeah, look, come here. As you well know, we can ramble on for the day.
Yeah.
Sometimes we gotta, you know, reach the finish line and call it quits and go home. So on that note, this is the Twistedtubz podcast. I am Stephen Tuberty, aka Twistedtubz. He is Paddy Murphy. He is aka Paddy Plays, and we did in fact survive together yet again. Look at the merch, see it, buy it, slap it, do things to it. And on that note, put the thumbs up, and we will see you really soon.
Slap it, do things to it. That sounds like my sex life.